In Florida, backyards, pools, and patios are a staple of the home. A local museum has a Smithsonian presentation over the years that you just can't miss. All the details are coming up on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Jeremy Morady, and with me today from the Lake Wales Museum is Bartholomew Delcamp, who's the curator there. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, you guys are a real treasure to have in Lake Wales and have been around for quite a while. I know we got some stuff to talk about coming up with the Smithsonian exhibit that's pretty neat, but can you give us a little bit of a background and history on, what you guys do, what all you have there that people can come out and see?
So our museum was founded in 1976, and it focuses mostly on Lake Wales and the Lake Wales area, but kind of an overview of Polk County as well. We focus on some of the big industries such as turpentine, citrus, cattle. We talk about some of the historic sites in Lake Wales, such as Bach Tower, Chalet Suzanne, the Great Masterpiece, the Passion Play. And then we also talk about the Native Americans who lived in the area before the early settlers founded what eventually became Lake Wales.
All right. So now, you guys, I know you do partnerships and everything with the History Museum here in Bartow, and every once in a while you get these traveling exhibits coming through, and you guys have a hot one coming up with Smithsonian.
Yes, well, really excited. This will be our second Smithsonian exhibit to premiere at our museum in the past 2 years. And this one is called Pools, Patios, and the Invention of the American Backyard.
Okay. So I love my backyard, and before I was handed a kind of little summary sheet, I never really thought about the history of the backyard. I spend a lot of time in it with the family and grilling, and I've got my smoker, and then we have our fire pit, and that kind of thing. Growing up, we had a pool, but never really gave two thoughts to a history on, the design of them, I guess. Fill us in a little bit. Where does this start?
So that's really the interesting thing. The backyard is really something a lot of people never give a second thought about, but backyards are actually a pretty recent invention. Backyards really began in 1940s after World War II. Before that, people's backyards were a workspace. Usually you grew vegetables, or you might have some livestock, or it had some other purpose. But after World War II, there wasn't any rationing anymore, so you didn't have to grow vegetables. And a lot of these big companies that were supporting the war effort, whether they were making metal or plastic or concrete, suddenly needed to make something new during peacetime. And so they started marketing transform your backyard. So they started saying there was a new middle class that could afford to buy a home, and you could add a concrete pool to your backyard, which was a pretty new invention. People started gardening, people had barbecues and Tupperware parties, and all of these classic 1940s and 50s things that never really existed before.
So everything beforehand was more of a practical use.
Exactly.
So there was was it the war itself that brought the shift into more of a recreational use, or?
It was a combination of things. So many servicemen returned home, and the military paid decently, and with GI Bills, more people could buy homes. More people now had backyards that they needed to do something with, and they needed to find some way to spend their time. Also, in the 1940s, Congress passed the 40-hour work week, so people also had much more free time in the week to spend on leisurely activities or home improvements.
Okay. So now with this exhibit, it's on through about the end of November, just right around
Yes.
Thanksgiving time. What can people expect to see when they come in, kind of exploring this?
So the exhibit is made out of panels, and it's going to discuss some different topics that I've just touched upon previously. It talks about how a lot of it had to do with a lot of household chores that you wanted for a nice backyard, like a nice green lawn or a nice clean pool. There was a lot new inventions that could make your job a lot easier to have these things. So DDT was one of the first big pesticides, which was really instrumental in home gardening with flowers and different ornamental plants.
But then it later on
lawnmowers-
had its
yeah,
big
DDT
problems.
became really bad later on. Lawnmowers became a lot cheaper and easier to use, so your average home buyer could have one, and that allowed them to have a nice big grassy backyard. Concrete pools, you now had chlorine you could buy at the store, which made it easier to treat the pool and keep it clean.
Okay. I know in visiting some other historic sites, you would see, indoor pools, but I don't ever remember anything sticking out of my mind of outdoor pools. Was the outdoor pool more of a thing of the 40s, 50s coming out of that than it had been before?
Yes.
Or is it more of a Florida thing that I'm...
Outdoor pools really took off after World War II, and the first pools were really built in Florida and California because you could jump in the pool all year round. And eventually pools would spread up north, and indoor pools became popular up there, but nobody really wanted to build a pool if it was filled with snow for 6 months.
Sure, and also having to wait for ground to thaw before
Yeah.
you can start digging in. And the concept of the patio. You open up the Sunday paper, and you'll have ads, probably close to an inch thick, especially down here, advertising, patio furniture and lighting and fans and grills. Before that, was it? I know old Florida, you would see the wraparound porches. Is that kind of the transition in the architecture that those wraparounds left, and now?
Exactly.
Okay.
So before the 40s, a lot of houses had front porches, and that's where people would spend their time. You could say hi to the neighbors, and you could be outside, and it was nice. But after the war, these new suburbs were being built, and they really put an emphasis on having a big front yard for the public to see and appreciate. And then the backyard was kind of added as an extension of the house. So houses were still somewhat small, but now you had these backyard patios, and you could have them screened in to keep the mosquitoes out, and you could have ceiling fans. And then a lot of the patio furniture was made either out of plastic, which was a pretty new material at the time, or a lot of metal furniture could be built, especially out of aluminum, that during the early 40s you couldn't find anywhere because it was all being sent to Europe for the war effort.
Aircraft manufacturing and whatnot. Yeah. Okay. Well, sure looking forward to this exhibit. It sounds fascinating, and especially for those of us down here that, grew up with our pools and our patios and, loving our backyards. So Thanks for coming in and sharing that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Make sure you check out the Lake Wales Museum as they present the Smithsonian's Patios, Pools, and the Invention of the American Backyard. The Smithsonian explores the evolution from the front porch to the outdoor living room in a collaboration between the Smithsonian Archives of American Gardens and Sites. Patios, Pools, and the Invention of the American Backyard features period photographs, retro advertisements, pop culture references, and influential landscape designs. From the beauty of the post-war garden design to the history of the rise of the suburbs and environmental movement. The exhibit is a nostalgic, fascinating look back. The exhibit runs through September 18th through November 24th. The museum is open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and admission is free. For more information, you can give them a call at 863-676-1759 or look them up on the web at www.cityoflakewales.com/439/depot-museum.